Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and on today's video we're changing it up a bit. We're not watching a horror video, we're not watching a ghost hunting video, but we're more looking at a serial killer. So this is called the Smiley Face Killer, which was a killer in Chicago. I've not heard much about it. Again, it's by Paranormal Files. Go and check it out. But it says here, join us for the deep, dark dive into the unknown, featuring the piano, piano, don't know, piani of the smiley-faced murderer theory. Ex-NYPD homicide detective Kevin Gannon? I think I said that right. But yeah, I've not watched this at all. But yeah, we're going to explore this. I've never heard of it. It's about an hour's long. We're not going to watch the full hour, like I say. We do part 1 and part 2. So yeah, let's get into it.
Noah Enos went to a concert at the Salt Shed on Goose Island, but he never made it home.
They put up this flyer tonight hoping someone in the community will recognize him and call police. His girlfriend tells me this is all very unusual. And 26-year-old never made it home Monday night after attending a concert at the Salt Shed.
This vigil outside the Salt Shed, not just to remember Noah Enos, but his family says to remember all the young people who've gone missing in Chicago and were recovered in bodies of water.
A Great Lakes sailor is missing.
Yeah, a search party is expected to meet later this morning in Waukegan.
And this is the last known video of Gray just outside of Ibiza nightclub in Waukegan. Gray was last seen on camera right there walking down an alley away from the nightclub.
And we have new details this morning on the death of a Northwestern student found in Lake Michigan in December. His body was pulled from Diversey Harbor on December 21st. The Cook County Medical Examiner announced yesterday.
So it seems like all the victims have been found in rivers or in the ocean or some type of lake. So it seems like what the guy seems to be doing is murdering them, ditching the body in water to try and get rid of evidence. But I might be wrong, but that seems like what it's coming to. We might have another copycat killer from bloody hell 2014. There was a serial killer going around. He used to ditch his victims in water to get rid of evidence and things like that. It seems like we have a copycat.
His cause of death was accidental drowning.
A young businessman disappeared and was later found dead.
There's a male by the shore. He's not moving. Unresponsive.
Nobody saw him leaving.
Wednesday morning, their worst fears were confirmed when police responded to a call just before 2 a.m. about an unresponsive man in the water.
No, it's not natural. It's like possible drowning.
Police have confirmed a body found in the Chicago River is that of 23-year-old Iñaki Bascaron.
The University of Illinois graduate and resident of Lakeview had not been heard from since Halloween early Sunday morning. Yesterday afternoon, just before 5 o'clock, the Chicago Police Department Marine Unit recovered a body from the Chicago River near the 1000 block of South Wells Street. Not long after, police confirmed it was that of Iñaki Bascaron.
So it seems like he drowned his victims. He might kidnap them, drown them, and then leaves the body. That's really strange. That's weird.
They are hundreds of young men from all across the country, their deaths labeled as accidental drownings. Now, these retired detectives say it's murder.
You're talking about almost 300 young men across the country that have been drugged, abducted,
held for a period of time, murdered on land, and deposited in the bodies of water to make it look like a trap.
They say the deaths are all linked by one chilling clue: graffiti of a smiley face found nearby. Veteran NYPD detective Kevin Gannon believes it's the work of more than one killer.
We've been tracking these guys for 12 years now. And there's males and females in this organization. This is a well-structured, organized group with cells spread out in major cities across the United States.
The theory is laid out in a riveting docuseries, The Smiley Face Killers: The Hunt for Justice, airing on the Oxygen Network.
He was just the kid next door that you would want your daughter to date.
Stephanie Wells' son Brian was a 21-year-old Navy veteran who was studying finance when he disappeared on New Year's Day 2000. His body was found 2 months later floating in a lake in Gary, Indiana.
Each of our victims fit such a narrowly defined, specific set of demographics.
Highly intelligent, athletic, from great families.
No fat kids, there's no really skinny, short kids.
In 2009, William Hurley's death was eerily similar. He was found in the Charles River in Boston. Nearby, a smiley face, his mom Lynn.
Such a sweet, tender-hearted, handsome young man.
Could these and the hundreds of others have fallen victim to a group these former detectives call the Smiley Face Killers? The FBI sent us this statement: "We have not developed any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. Still, these mothers remain convinced their sons' deaths were not accidental."
And I'm hoping that justice can be done.
I'm so angry.
Today, before we crack open another enigmatic case, I want to talk about a real-life savior that's helping who's always see which the seared ready to heat in. For sponsoring this video and helping me is in the description. It's so easy. You can get this video.
Hey brother, I was going to ask you what we're doing. We're doing the other bars first before. We're over here. We're going to do the Lizzie McNeil's where Samarcus came out of, on the shore there, on Lakeshore Drive in Fullerton. Yeah, it's Fullerton Parkway and Lakeshore Drive, whatever. Well, right now we're going to go to the scene where Matthew Samarcus, the young male, 31-year-old white male, came into town for business. He was like a tech guy, and he was staying at the Sheraton Hotel. And he got up the morning, he rolled in, I think, on the 4th, and on the 5th he had a meeting with a convention with guys. And he had spoken to his mother in the morning, and he told her he was on his way to the convention, and he never got there. People at work didn't see him, hadn't seen him the whole day. They tried to get in touch with him. He was one of those guys that was like instantaneously on his phone. If his wife called, his mother called, anybody, nobody heard from him. And then he winds up in the Chicago River 15 days later on December 20th, drowned, half frozen. And what happened was, there was a witness that came forward, like a barmaid, and said that we don't know it's really him. She believed that she saw him in that bar almost all day for maybe cut the meeting and he didn't go, and he was there for 5 hours, but 5 hours would have been from 8 o'clock at night to 1 in the morning, and he left at 1:30 hours when the bar closed, 1:30 a.m. and walked out and was seen on camera. They think it was him on camera walking to the Sheraton Hotel, but he never made it, and then he winds up in the Chicago River like as if he just fell over the rail. The name of the bar is Lizzie McNeil's. The only thing that drew me to that is all guys would use similarities to other cases or other victims and names or bars or whatever, because we have a lot of the same bars, whether they're brothers bars or there was a couple of bars in, whether it was Chicago, Wisconsin, over in Madison. They had other bars that they were going to, which all had similar names. This one with the McNeil's name was our first victim. That would be something that they might want to use to taunt us as the investigators. Here's another one for you, or did you figure it out? Did you put it together that this is connected? So that was the only one reason. But
so your first victim that was highly publicized, I guess, and what you kind of count as being the official start of your theory, I mean back then especially, is Patrick O'Neill.
Patrick McNeil.
Patrick McNeil.
Same last name, McNeil. So we looked at that, but when you look at his autopsy report, I mean, he was partially frozen. He did not drown because he has 413 grams of fluid in his right lung and only 388 in his left lung. And most people's lungs are anywhere from 300 grams each to 400. So he's right there. He's averaging 400. That's a lung. That's 800 grams. Usually a drowning is over 1,000 grams, and most of them are like 1,100 to 1,200. But you can see what he had here. His brain showed he had cerebral edema, so he had swelling in his brain, which was manifested, they said, by the flattening of the cortical convolutions. He has narrowing of the sulci. He has whitening of the temporal bones. And when you look at all that, what it says from an anatomic diagnosis, early state of decomposition, because he was partly frozen from the river, which I put together. Cardiomegaly, which was 446 grams, which means he just has an enlarged heart. He's got biventricular hypertrophy, which is the thickening of the walls, which could also, sounds like he's has a bad heart from his heart ventricles. He has bronchial asthma. He had gallbladder cholesterolitosis, which is like cholesterol in your gallbladder. It's just that it produces polyps, but it's a non-cancerous thing. And then he had hemorrhage in his petrosed temporal bones, which that one is the one that interests me because it says that's trauma, which can lead to hearing loss, facial nerve paralysis, and intracranial hemorrhaging. And he does have edema in his skull, in his brain. So somehow that tells me, regardless of whatever his heart was doing, he didn't die from a heart attack or any of that. He may have down the road, who knows? This is the place here, it's right on the water. Did he really just leave the bar? And we could pull down there
yeah, you can park down, Connor, if you find a spot.
Right. We can go down there and I can show you around where he came from in the Sheraton Hotel. But that thing tells me he had trauma. Somebody hit him. No different than the guys in Martin Gutierrez or Kristen Pugh or Jeff Jones down in Austin being hit in the back of the skull, and somebody gonna hit him. Whether the guy he was talking to an older gentleman with a beard and gray hair. They left together, and he winds up in the water. Did this guy lure him out of the bar? I mean, usually we look at our victims our perps are eventually going to be defendants as being younger, but doesn't mean that they couldn't have older individuals, because we know this stuff has been going on for years, and which we know from information that we have that people are brought into this group as young. We know that these kids are recruited. A lot of them are recruited out of facilities, almost like, but it's not like the young men's club or the YMCA or whatever, but they're kind of like group home things where they can get these kids that are looking for something. They don't have that family, they're troubled kids or whatever, and they bring them in and they indoctrinate them into the system. So we know that there are older individuals that are running this. Could this gentleman be one of those individuals? We don't know, but that was the last thing that he was with. Yeah, and he had some serious injuries, so it tells me that it wasn't just him walking out and being, unless they drugged him and falling into the water. I mean, he had some type of injury to his cranial, where he had damage to the ear. He could have had facial paralysis, something that could have even thrown him off balance.
When he was reportedly seen drinking for 5 hours at Lindsay's McNeil bar on December 4th, 2005, with an unidentified professionally dressed older man with grey hair, a beard, leaving together around 1:30 a.m. towards the Sheneriton Hotel. something's not adding up at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're drinking for 5 hours, right? Like you said there, you're drinking for a long, long time. You're drinking from 9 at night till 1 in the morning. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a lot of alcohol. So, and also the fact that he was seen with someone tells me that this was a thought out plan. It wasn't just randomly come across this guy, give him a load of drinks and then kill him. This was thought out. This was clearly planned. So something tells me that the man that was dressed professionally, he already knew where this man was going to be. He knew where this man was. He already made the plan. He knew what was going to happen. So he knew the time that to keep him there. Realistic, when we look at serial killers try to keep their victims as long as possible distracted. So they try and give them alcohol, drugs, even sex. They try and do things like that to lure their victims into a non-defensive state so that they can do whatever they need. We see it with a lot of kidnappings. You know, sometimes kidnappers will get their victim drunk or drugged and then do whatever you know what I mean, they'll say, come on, I'll take you back to your place and that, make sure you get safely. And then what they'll do is they'll kidnap the person, keep him for a certain amount of time, you know, just make it look like a normal missing person, and then kill him and dunk their body, or make it look like an accident by a drowning or an accidental fall. The fact that he said he didn't turn up for a little bit of time later tells me that there's no way for a fact no one would have seen his body in that river, in the lake. There is no way no one would have seen that, so he definitely was abducted. It does kind of make sense about that, you know. But at the end of the day, how you could unidentify a guy professionally dressed unless he was wearing some type of hat that covered his face, I have no idea. But for me, that's a bit weird how you couldn't identify a guy. You know, I mean, they're drinking for 5 hours straight. Surely someone saw this man's face. You know what I mean? If you're with someone for 5 hours, it's not like you don't recognise the face. So something's weird. If I was that officer, I would definitely investigate this bar and the staff, because for someone, like I said, for someone drinking 5 hours straight, you don't recognise the guy in a professionally dressed outfit. Usually when you go to a bar, it's like a t-shirt like this, maybe a polo top, some nice shoes, some jeans or something like that. And there's never ever someone that's professionally dressed going to a bar, or very rarely. So at the end of the day, it is definitely weird that, and how they didn't see his face is kind of crazy. Like he knew where the cameras were, to be honest. Next morning, after calling his mother at 6:30 a.m, security footage captured him leaving Charlton at 7:49 a.m. towards Illinois Street, but he failed to attend a meeting, and his undescribed hotel room contained his laptop, luggage, and an unused credit card. So why would you leave all this stuff to go to a meeting? Usually a meeting, you'd need your laptop, because things like that. But that's weird. Unless he was going to meet someone. Unless he was going to meet someone to, speak to someone. Most of the time people, when they go to meetings, they'll take a laptop. The fact that he was seen on security captured footage with no laptop, no luggage, nothing, is kind of sus. It's a bit weird, that. Police suspected so Marcus may have fallen into the Chicago River, but I can't even say that word. Searches by the Marine unit and sonar equipment found nothing in the 39-degree water on December 20th, 2025. His body was found in the river near Holstad? Oh, I can't say that. And the Division Street, several blocks from the Sheraton, with an auto spy confirming drowning but leaving the manner of death undisputed. That's weird.
Which one is the Sheridan? I mean, it could be over here. I'm not even sure. But this is where he could have been walking, and they're going to try to say he just fell over this friggin' thing and fell in. I'm not completely buying. He just walked along it. And this isn't low, like that wall in Texas.
Yeah.
That thing is here. You can fall over. It's a cement wall. I mean, a brick wall. You can fall. This guy didn't just fall into this thing. I mean, it's a beautiful place to come out and have a drink, and he's going. He's walking back to the hotel, and then he winds up in the Chicago River. What happened to him that he didn't go to the meeting is going to be beyond anybody's, imagination. I don't know what happened, especially for a guy like that. It'd be different if it was like he was drunk from the night before, you would say, but he wasn't. He was talking to his family in the morning, his mom or whatever, and then the next thing you know, he's gone. It's just that quick.
And then what happened to him, for the days that he was missing?
Well, he was missing 15 days. He was found on December 20th.
That's what I mean. Where was he?
Well, if you look at it, I mean, it's like, I understand it's cold, but he should have some water in him.
Yeah.
He should have been found, which tells me what was the cause of death. This isn't like Jay Poho, who's got, tons of injuries. I mean, he was beaten. He's got a broken hyoid, which means he was manually strangled. They took his camera, obviously because he was going down supposedly to take pictures of the bridges at the time. He was doing a thing for the university, for college. And he's got lacerations that go down to his femur. And they finally made that case a homicide. But they have no idea. They're thinking that's the homeless people. It could be the homeless people, only because my guys have never really, or my gang, because there's women involved, they've never really assaulted people like that. And most of the time, there's no money taken, there's no wallets, they don't take the phones. They may send messages to the phone or transmit messages from the phone as if the guy's still alive.
Right.
So because what they're saying is like, we had him at this time. When Todd Guy, they did that. They sent the message when they know he was already incapacitated, but they were letting them know that, yeah, we got him. They were sending a message, but nothing like with this guy. Whereas could somebody have done that to Powell? I don't know. The homeless people. I mean, they'd have to do some really bad stuff, because it looks like they said they took him in the water and they cut him up with like propeller blades and whatever. So that's some pretty sick stuff if you just want to rob the guy and do his camera.
Right.
Could my guys get into that and do some torture things? I mean, that case is kind of an aberration as far as all the other cases. It doesn't really fit the generalized pattern of what we have, you know. Like I said, most of the people were hurt except for Randy Lexfold and Jeff Jones, both going off the same bridge, you know, years later. And Jeff wound up living and had the GHB in him, which is showing us that somebody did drug him. And he said that I didn't have more than 2 or 3 drinks. I think he only had 2. He was like a big guy like you, at 220. He wasn't even like a skinny guy like me. So it's like 2 drinks for a guy like that would have affected, right? So obviously something else was introduced to his body, you know.
So I got a question for you.
Sure.
After doing this for, 20 plus years and researching these cases, being on the scene, working with families, what does it feel like for you, just in general, looking out at a river at night? Does it evoke any sort of emotion or thought from you?
Yeah, it just, it bothers me to know that this was how they spent their last night. You know what I mean? Right. And everybody just writing it off like it's just some stupid drunk male that unfortunately accidentally fell into the water. When this is a lot more serious than that. Yeah, that's what bothers me. Because that was somebody's son or somebody's daughter, and there's nothing worse than losing a child. I don't care what anybody says.
I'd imagine it'd be a weird feeling. I mean, even for me, having my kind of minimal involvement that I've had being in a river at night now, it's just kind of like...
It's eerie.
It's eerie.
It is.
When you think about what the people are doing and getting away with, it honestly makes me a little bit angry too sometimes, because you're thinking this is what they like to do, where they like to do it. And there's so many people when you walk around. For me, I think people are just blissfully unaware, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to be like one of those people who hold a sign out, you know, like watch the river, be careful. It's like, but you know.
Or partying on a boat.
If they went in right away this first night and they weren't incapacitated from the drugs, it's still, you know, everybody thinks like drowning's peaceful. I still think you're fighting for your life, so it's still kind of an eerie feeling. And no matter how you die, it's got to be, you're fighting for your life or whatever, it's got to be traumatic. But what bothers me more is I'm under the belief that it's not happening the first night. Most of the time they're being held for an extended period of time. So what's happening to them while they're being held? And from stuff we know, they would hold them, and I think there's some mind torture, like how do you feel about dying tonight? How do you feel, how do you feel about dying? And the next night you're like, oh man, am I gonna get out of here? What can I do? Blah, blah, blah. And that kind of terror, I mean, that's one of those like a terror movie.
Right.
And then you never know when they're really gonna get rid of you. And I don't think even some of these kids that have drowned, that have water in their lungs, nobody's even testing. One, they don't test diatoms to see where in the river they drowned. Because if you found out where they actually drowned, that's the original crime scene. If you went back there, you might see, especially if it wasn't a place like this, if it's near a lake, you might find footprints, you might find tire tracks, you might find stuff that we found at other scenes. You might find somebody's cigarette, you might find a piece of clothing when they were going through the woods to bring them to that spot. Because we had one kid that was down in Wisconsin, and his name's slips my mind right now, but now that we're up to like 700, but when I had the first 100, I could tell you who they were, where they were. I was like Aaron Brockovich. Now it's like way more difficult. But I remember from where he was, I said they were going to take him right down to the dock and put him in the water. He was 40 miles away. That body didn't float. They drove him down, went to like a wooded area with brush. We saw broken branches. So you're looking for broken branches, you're looking for possible clothing, whatever, where they would have dumped the body. And that's where the body's found. And once you went down and saw where the body was, and then you go backwards, you could see where they probably put him in. And if you were really investigating, you'd look for, like I said, all the other supplemental evidence that might be there that might lead you to what might be. I think before he went into the water, they killed him on land. You know, somewhere where there was leaves and stuff, because he has leaves. I mean, they've known that drowning victims have gone to the bottom, and because you're disoriented, especially if it's at night, you're trying to swim, and you think you're going up, but you might be going down. And that's why a lot of times they have mud or something in their hand when they die, because they're looking for a way out. but you could get loose sand or something in. It might even be leaves if there was on the bottom. But he had so much leaves stuck in the bottom of his throat, which is in the, they call the lumen. And the way the body was so decomposed, unless he was out in the sun burning somewhere where somebody would have seen him or smelt him, he looked like he was somebody who was like in a car, somewhere where he was baking, you know what I mean? And so he didn't look like the typical drowning either, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we had him. He was just coming, grabbed a quart of beer, coming from playing basketball, was crossing the bridge going home. And he doesn't make it home?
Okay, guys, so I'm going to leave it there for part one. Like I said, this is my first time watching this video, and it definitely seems like there is something weird going on. They are intelligent young men. We're talking 20s. You know what I mean? He said before that they've always been found to be at a bar drinking, and then a day or two later they end up going missing, and then end up dead. It's weird, but like I said, I feel like the people that are killing these innocent guys, these are either, whether it's one individual or it's multiple, it's being planned. It's being planned. It's being thought of, and it's really going in. So they're knowing everything. So they're knowing where the person's staying, who they are, where the cameras are, where do I need to do this, where do I need to do that, where do I need to take him. It's things like that that kind of, make it seem like it's all planned out. It's like they're following you, they're getting information on you, and these guys are not, like I said before, they're not the poor guys, they're not the rich guys, they're the intelligent guys. So we're talking tech designers and things like that. And like I said before, it's not the homeless because, well, you know what I mean, they never took anything, that he still had his wallet and things on him, which was kind of weird. So it seems like it was it seems like it just was for the pleasure of murdering someone that these guys have done it. But yeah, but let me know, guys, if you want to see part two of me reacting to this, put down in the comments part two. Thank you for watching the video. Please do like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.